Hi again. Finally seeding day. Been waiting, I can't say all winter because it's still the middle of winter. And honestly, every step of the way of growing the superHots is an exciting step. Today we're going to be doing the seeding. So what we're going to start with is, I don't know if you saw my previous video. If you haven't, you can check it out. Basically called it the essentials, what you need, what you're going to be using. But we're starting with an organic, plain, everyday, just seed starter mix. Again, doesn't matter what company is producing it. Just go for the organic. That way, any of the microbes, beneficials you're going to be using later on, they've got a nice place to live and grow and breed and eat. So that was just right off the top. That's just your standard, everyday, organic seed starting mix. Your seedlings until they transplant really don't need a lot of food, so we just use the smallest amount of the organics until it comes out. It's probably about 2 ounces going in there. I think I should have maybe got a small cup for this. So again, rock dust in Canada. It's called Volcanic Mineral Plus. That I go quite heavy on. That would be about 3/4 of a cup. And your seed starting mix usually 9 times out of 10 is going to come with perlite. Myself, I like the vermiculite, so that's going to be going in there. And try not to breathe too much when this is floating around. There's a lot of dust particles. And I'm just going to give this a good mix. Okay, we've got dechlorinated room temperature water. You don't want to start pouring in ice cold water in here. I mean, you could just let it sit for a bit. Pepper seeds are not big fans of cold water. Every time I water, no matter what stage, unless when it's gone outside, then I'll use, with my filter, I will use cold, but inside, you really, the cold water can shock them. Also, you need a certain temperature to germinate, so you're going to want your heat up. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. When that's mixed, in go your worm castings. I happen to have my own, but bought is fine. And I go very, very heavy on this. I measured it out when I put it in this container for my bin, and that was 3 cups of the worm castings. When your seed breaks out, it really doesn't need anything. It's the seed itself has all the food and nutrients it needs. What you're doing is once it starts to grow, you're going to want to have a bit of food there just to get it going. I usually do about 2-3 handfuls of bone meal. If you have pets, they'll start coming very quickly. I've got 2 dogs, 3 cats, and I'm not surprised I'm not getting, or I am surprised I'm not getting inundated with it now. And we have eggshells for the calcium. Again, if you haven't seen my first video, half crushed, half completely blitzed. The crushed will be a slow release calcium, and the blitzed, which is just a fine dust. I mix those two together. That's going to get the calcium released in your dirt right away. Now when you get your seedling trays, they're going to come as one big tray. What I always do is cut them into the 9-portion pieces, as opposed to just a full tray. So I cut these up. A lot easier when you're watering, because you want to water from the bottom. You can pull these out, pour some water in, put it back in. I usually wait about 10 minutes, and then I have extra trays, so I just move them over into a dry one. You don't want them sitting in standing water. This part, very easy. You're going to bring that up level to the top. And the reason why you're going level to the top is for the water to wick up, it does need to be slightly compressed. So you're going to fill it, push down. You're not pushing hard, you're just making sure that you've got no air pockets going in there. Now you're going to fill up a second time. And with this one, just a tiny push. I'm not going to go through all the seeds. Basically, I'm going to plant, and then I'll show you a couple seeds, then I'll cut and come back after they're all done. All my seeds are from last year. This is the one that I was very excited about. This is my only purchase this year for seeds, is the HP 22, the Carolina Reaper. In here, I've got mycorrhiza. My last video, I talked about how theoretically within 48 hours, once this has been activated, if it's not touching a root, it will die. It'll start to die. But I have so much, it's going to be used at every step of the way, every transplant. So if this is true and it does die, it's no harm done. I've got enough for the next stages. One thing about doing it in a cup though is you've got to be careful, because if I drop my seeds in there, and I might miss one in the bottom. Now all of a sudden I go to the next batch and I start pulling them out, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got all, let's say, ghost peppers, but what they actually are is a Reaper that I've had sitting down below. So you pick up your seed, it's going to get dropped on top. I think a good idea would have been counting them, but I bought 10 from Pepper Joe. I usually find with Pepper Joe, whenever you get 10, you're going to get 12 or 13. He always gives you a couple extra in case some don't germinate. Find these seeds. It's kind of hard when you got your dirty hands. Should have a bowl of water here. And once you've got your seeds in, peppers do not like being down deep at all. That's why what I do is I get my seeds going, and then I just top dress. which means I'm not putting a pencil down, I'm not putting a hole through it. It's just getting laid on top, and then I'm just gonna then I'm just lightly placing a little bit of soil on each, and this time around I'm not pushing at all. Just basically letting it go flat, and when you water it in, it'll start to soak. You've got to be careful at this point, because you can move your seed, all of a sudden you have a seed that gets jumped into the next cell. That's going to be going in here. When you have them all done, that's when you're going to be pouring your water in the bottom of the tray. So we've got it in here, water's going in the tray, and we're going to water from the bottom with just a bit of a misting on top. I've got my things always already written out until your peppers start actually coming out. If you don't label them, you're going to have no idea. Most hot peppers, until they start actually producing the pepper, they're going to look exactly the same. So that's it. I'll come back after I've got 1, maybe 2 trays of these done. Probably going to be doing about 100, 120 peppers this year. Okay, back in a second. So I've got the seeds all planted. It ended up with, I think, 136. Again, if you didn't see my first video, you don't know what I'm growing. So I've got the Bacilla Baggio going from the lowest up to the highest. That's 250 Scoville units. That's basically a green pepper. I've got the Yahtzee pepper at 1,500, Peter pepper 2,300, Cayenne 50,000, Ghost pepper about 1,040,000. Last year I had a habanero and a ghost pepper cross with a scorpion. So I don't know the Scoville units on them. I planted both of those. I'll probably end up with a ghost pepper plant and habanero plants, but we'll see. Hopefully that telltale tip continues on. Up from there, I got the Naga Viper. That's 1,380,000. Butch T Scorpion, 1,460,000. Again, some of these averages and some of these are maximums. The Red Maruga Scorpion, that's just over 2 million, and that's honestly that's the max for sure. You're not gonna you'd be lucky to hit 2 million with the Scorpion. And then this year, the first one you saw me plant was my first year for the Carolina Reaper, maxing out at 2.2 million, but averaging less than 2 million, but that's perfect. So now I got the seeds in. I basically want to show you how to water. I think most of you are going to know this, but you want to water from below. These trays have a reservoir in them. You're going to get a good amount of water, because what's going to happen in about 5-10 minutes, you're just going to take them out of the water. That's why I've got an extra tray, so I always move things around. So if I'm using 1 tray, I'm going to need 2. If I'm using 2 trays, I need 3. That way, after about 5-10 minutes, it's soaked up what it wants. Then it comes out of there and into a dry one. And then I'm just off camera, as you can't see, I've got a little greenhouse where it goes. While that's soaking from the bottom, I get a spray on the top. And I will especially be doing this once the seedlings start to come out. This last one here, it's got question marks on it. I don't know what it is. Well, as I was seeding, I guess I was dropping seeds off to the side. So when I ended up, I was cleaning up, I found a bunch of just random seeds. So in they go. Can't really know what they are until they start to flower and start to pepper. Then I'll be able to change the difference. So again, this is just a short video. Really didn't teach too much because at the seeding stage there's not much to do. Hopefully you did sit through an extremely long video, my first one. That'll teach you or explain to you why I use the certain products that I do, why I don't. Throughout the year, basically, I'm going to be making short videos every step of the way. The first video was just extremely long because that was me explaining what I'm going to be doing this. So please subscribe, like, dislike. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Also, again, if there's anybody out there that's growing, that's got some peppers growing, and they want to, show what they're doing, how they're doing. The reason why I wanted to do it is in Canada we have an extremely short growing season. That's why here in early mid-February, I've got to get my seeds in. I need a good few months before they head outside in May. If not, you're going to end up with a plant that's about a foot and a half tall. When I start this early, I can get a good 4, 5, sometimes 6 foot plants, and that's what I want. The bigger your plant, the massive amounts of peppers you can get off each plant. Okay, that's everything. I will probably be back in a few weeks once these start sprouting. I'm just going to switch the camera and I'll let you see the tiny little greenhouse. And again, I use this greenhouse not for the light, don't really need it, it's right by the window. But what it's there for is it heats up. You need an extremely warm situation for your peppers to germinate. And I don't use a grow mat. Of course, the light's shining right through the window. Hopefully you can see. I will be switching these out after because I've got to rotate for the water. But this one holds 2 trays. I've got another one that's still in the box. That holds 4. Because while they're in seedling trays, you don't really need a lot of space. It's once that you start moving them up, transplanting, that's when you're going to have mass amounts of space. So I hope you found this a little bit interesting, and I'll have another one up in a few weeks when I've got it going. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.